Hello everyone. Today's presentation will be over COPD. COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and it is a term used for a group of lung diseases. These diseases are chronic bronchitis, emphysema, and partially asthmatic components. And these are all categorized under COPD because these diseases have a limit amount of air that go in and out of the lungs. Many doctors will characterize COPD as an accelerated lung aging, which basically means that a person loses lung capacity faster than a normal rate. Estimated prevalence COPD is about 14 to 20 million in the US, and this number is still increasing, and COPD has now become the number 4 cause of death in the US. An overall cost for a person who has COPD is about 40 billion annually and 1.6 billion with those who are chronic oxygen users. So what is this disease? Like, what causes this disease? You might be wondering, well, it is a self-inflicting disease. Many people know this as smoker's disease. So exposure to tobacco smoke is the major cause of COPD. These people who develop COPD have been smoking, I want to say 3 packs a day for like 40 years. Also, this is just an example of somebody who's developed COPD with that amount of smoking. But unfortunately, COPD has increased the risk of developing different types of lung cancer. And this brings me to my visual aid. Here are examples of lungs, and they're not real, but unfortunately, this is realistic. This is what 14 to 20 million people look like from the inside. And it could be a lot worse than this. Just real quick, up here, we have an example of bronchitis. Bronchitis is just also known as a smoker's cough. And it is reversible, but basically the smoke irritates the bronchial tubes and irritates and inflames the bronchial tubes, causing it harder for that person to breathe. Now, again, it is reversible, so once you stop smoking, you won't have that irritant in your bronchioles, in your airways, so you can easily fix that. Right here we have emphysema, and basically with this, it's a little darker lung color. Basically the darker portion of the lungs are deposits of tar and carbon, and that's from years and years of smoking, of course. With this disease, the lungs' elasticity and ability to breathe properly are destroyed because these air sacs are ruptured and they start to harden, so it doesn't allow them to expand very well. Also up here, you can barely see it, but there's a bleb, and it is about this big, and that's an air sac that blew up and just kind of looks like a crate on the lung. That is not normal. Your lung should not look like that at all. Down here, we have an example of a lung with cancer, and it is the most deadly of all cancers because it has no symptoms. You really don't know that you have it until that cancer has spread throughout other organs. And down here is just a heart. Basically, people who have cigarette smoking have a higher risk, 3 times more to have a heart attack than somebody who doesn't smoke. Here is an up-close example. Again, this is a normal lung. This is what our lungs should look like. It is nice and pink and fresh. Right here we have emphysema. It has the rigids from the air sacs that have been ruptured and hardening. It looks like a sponge, but it is not a sponge. It is what somebody's lung looks like. And again, the dark is from the tar and the carbon. Here's again an example of a lung with a cancer, which again is one of the most silent killers, because that cancer will spread into other organs and you never knew you had cancer. So continuing on, there are layers of COPD. The first layer is the impaired lung mechanics. When we say mechanics, I'm referring to like the lung volume and the capacity. All that is impaired. And all that is impaired because of that inflammation. And it leads to inadequate gas exchange in the lungs due to, again, that inflammation. Management, what is the medical management of COPD? Basically, with every disease, it is prevention. We want to prevent this, so there are a couple things that we can do to prevent COPD or exacerbations. Number one, stop smoking. We recommend our patients to get vaccinated, like the flu shots and the pneumonia vaccine, basically because they are prone to get a little bit more sicker, and once they have that exacerbation, they usually it is due to that infection underneath. Also, washing your hands, that definitely always helps with any disease. Long-term maintenance and suppression of inflammation also work with this disease. Many patients are on anticholinergics, ipratropium bromide, and also a beta agonist, which is a short-acting. And the anticholinergic is a fast and long-acting. And a combination of these two, many people know as Duonem. They use these treatments, nebulized treatment or metered dose inhaler form, to help with that shortness of breath. And also some patients have a corticosteroid, which is basically used for the inflammation in the airways. Now, I am a little bit over time, and there's a lot of information about COPD. If anybody ever wants to know anything about it, feel free to contact me, and I can sure give you all this great information, and we can help each other out, help your family members or anybody that you know that has this disease. And please, again, you can contact me, email me. Thank you.